Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the wonderful world you are tuning in from. This is Jesse BROWER coming at you live from the tuition-free School of Entrepreneurship show. Today we have special guest John, and can you pronounce your last name for me, John?
That's John Pagulayan.
PAGULAYAN. Thank you, John
Yeah,
PAGULAYAN. So we've
people
got
in the
special
states
guest
pronounce it like pig and lion. So
Pig and Lion, but PAGULAYAN, right?
Pagulayan, yeah.
Okay, terrific, terrific, terrific. All right, so yeah, guys, we're here, we're live, we're on the tuition-free School of Entrepreneurship show. Basically, guys, for those of you who are just tuning in, or this is the first time you've ever watched the show, I do this show for pretty much three reasons. Number one, I want to inspire entrepreneurship around the world with a specific focus on the Philippines. I believe that entrepreneurship can give people hope, that they can actually build their own dreams, they can start a side hustle, and you can build something that makes them happy, gives them free time. So entrepreneurship, and I want to inspire that around the world and specifically in the Philippines. Number two, I'm really enjoying it. People have been telling me I have a radio voice for a long time and I should be doing something like this. So I started it and I'm having a lot of fun. And so that's really important. And number three, I get to surround myself with the experts, and I'm a firm believer that who you surround yourself with is who you become. So I get to surround myself with guys like John. We've been chatting here before the call, and I gained some actual valuable insight from John, for my personal business. So I mean, this guy's obviously an expert. He set himself apart by his results. A lot of you know John, you're following him. So again, once again, we're live on the tuition-free School of Entrepreneurship show. I want to ask you guys a favor. To share this in all of your groups and all of your pages while we're doing this. Let's get to 2,000 live watchers right now. Let's change some lives, you guys. Let's inspire entrepreneurship in the Philippines like nothing that's ever been done before. Okay, so with that said, John, I want to kind of turn it over to you, let you introduce yourself, and then while you're doing that, let us know not only who you are, but what you have built so far.
Okay, so my name is John Pagulayan. I refer to myself as someone who writes emails for a living. Not a lot of people, when I tell people that, they give me like the puzzled look, like what exactly does that mean? So basically, I write emails to clients so that they would get clients. That's that's like the simplest that I can put it into words. Aside from that, I have an email marketing company, so that's what I do. I have 5 to 6 people on board, and then I'm also the founder of the freelance movement. Who it's more of a passion project of mine, which is to help freelancers like me in the Philippines. Basically build a business of freelancing, because most people in here in the local scene, they don't treat freelancing as a business. It's more like having a job, and then just working from home. But for me, there's much more potential than just that. So that's what I do. I basically help them, or teach them, or inform them how to create a business out of it. So it's more like taking you out of the process and just being like the boss, so to speak. So that's what I do. That's what I do in a nutshell. There.
Got it. Got it. Well, thanks a lot for being on the show, John. I know, like I said, you have a big following in the Philippines. I've done a little research on you, so really exciting to have somebody like you on the show. And
Awesome,
so,
man.
the way I do this is I just have specific questions that are lined out to really pick your brain, and so
Mhm.
we can find out, what about your journey. So, for one, how did you start? What is your background? Just as much as you're comfortable with. I mean, maybe how you grew up, and then how you got into entrepreneurship.
Well, most people kind of already knew my story, but for those who don't know, I'm a boy from Bicol, so it's kind of near to Bohol in a way. It's a province, so I'm not. So if we're talking about language, English is my third language. So it's more of Bicol, Tagalog, and then English. And I didn't graduate college, so that's one thing. So which is why when I graduated high school to study in college, I had to work really odd jobs. Like when you say odd jobs, like I was a clown at one point. So that's how odd my my jobs were. I was a clown. I was the one doing um, what do you call this? Like in the Philippines, they call it spotter. That's you're the one. You're the guy who tends to the billiard tables. So like really really odd jobs. And then after my stint doing those odd jobs like the service crew, sales clerk, stockman, um, I I was lucky. I got lucky. Got accepted into a call center, and then I worked there for around like if I'm not mistaken, 8 years. So 2 years before I resigned in the call center, I was kind of asking myself, um, like, is this really it? Is this the life I'm gonna be living for the rest of, until I grow old? Because technically, it wasn't cutting it. Like I couldn't really treat my family, myself, out into Jollibee or any fast food chain. I can barely buy myself a new pair of shoes. So it's like you're alive, but you're barely living.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like how it felt. So that's how I started researching. I'm not sure if this the same, if the same is true for you, but I went to Google, typed in how to make money online.
Yep.
It's kind of like the go-to phrase for everyone who starts online. How to make money online. I discovered about affiliate marketing, blogging, all that stuff. Um, so I went in. I dove in head first. I know nothing about it. So I dove in, created my own site. Uh, I even, if, in fact, if I remember correctly, my very first site is howtomakeyourOwnblog.com. If I'm not mistaken, that's my very first site. So I was journaling, kind of journaling my journey on creating my own website. So that's kind of like how the blog went. Um, Unfortunately, after 9 months, there was like no readers, no zero fans, zero following, like nothing except for one guy who messaged me and told me that I think you'd be the perfect guy to write emails for us.
Nice.
And
Nice.
that's where it all started. Like it's I got introduced to the world of email marketing and stuff. And yeah, that's sort of a lucky break, but I can't really call it lucky because if I stopped, for example, if I stop, I was thinking about this. Had I stopped on the fourth month, I wouldn't have met this guy.
So, are you writing emails in English and in Tagalog, or mostly just in English, or mostly just in Tagalog, or what's up with that?
For clients in English,
Okay, and English
that's
is
always
your third
my way.
language, and you didn't finish college yet. You're writing, these highly skilled copywriting in English. So that's inspirational, guys. Take some note. You don't have to have a degree to do what John is doing at a very high level. So that's super inspirational.
Well, the thing is, what most people uh, don't really get. I'm not exactly sure if they get it or not, but they think that the reason why I went into email is because I write really well, which is on the contrary. When I was in high school, I hate writing. Like it's one of the it's if there's any knack on me during high school, that's gonna be it. Like I you don't write. My notebook is as clean as it was when I first bought it. If you know what I mean. Like I barely write on it. And then when college came, like I said, I didn't finish college. I just went through like the first year. On my first year, I had this subject like communications stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, my grade in communications was a 3, which in the Philippines it's more like you barely passed the
Right.
the course. Which is why when I tell my friends that I'm an email copywriter now, they they're the look on their faces are priceless. Like it's like really now, like you really you write you write emails and stuff. That's the thing that you hate. But one thing that really flipped the switch for me is that it's not that I was passionate about writing because it's easy to give up. Really, I'm not passionate about writing, so it was easy for me to give up on. But what I found is that if I'm passionate about the people that I'm writing for, then that switches the whole dynamic. I mean, if I'm writing for, say, for example, I'm writing in the health market, right? If I don't write this email well, this some guy is not gonna buy this product, and if they don't buy it, they're not gonna live long enough, and if they don't live long enough, their daughter's gonna grow up without a dad.
Right.
Like that is enough for me to write it regardless if I know how to write or not.
Got it. So you really dig deep and find the purpose behind what you're doing, and that helps you.
Exactly. Right. Right.
Okay. I came up with this question. How can we change the world with copywriting? Let's chat about huge implications of how a person can actually impact the world by effective copywriting. Can you speak on that for a minute?
I'm sure, man. Copywriting. To be honest, I'm not really a fan of. This is gonna sound weird coming from an ebook copywriter, but I'm not really a fan of copywriting.
Okay.
Like for me, copywriting is just a medium. Like it's just a written word, right? It could be anything else, right? It's just I'm a fan of persuasion. That's kind of like the difference between me and other copywriters. I'm a fan of persuasion, and I could care less whether I write it on an email or a Facebook post. If I say it out loud, regardless what medium, I'm a fan of persuasion.
Got it.
So it doesn't matter to me if I write it on an email or a blog post or a sales page. It's not. It's just a medium. Now, persuasion, on the other hand, that's something that could literally change the world, right? Imagine. I mean, in fact, imagine this. Like, imagine if all the you could literally convince this bunch of people on what you want them to do. The world would be a better place,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. You think you've kind of already answered this, but since this is the tuition-free School of Entrepreneurship show, and some people maybe they're tuning in, they're not entrepreneurs yet.
Mm.
Why do you choose to be an entrepreneur, and like what freedoms does it afford you? Rather than working in like a 9 to 5.
Because I get to work 24 hours. Just kidding.
Right.
It's kind of half truth, right? It's to be honest, I'm one of those guys that I really uh like I'm not sure if the same is true for you, but you kind of look at yourself, and when you look at the credentials that you have, the way you interact with bosses and stuff, you're somewhat kind of unemployable.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Right. I mean, you have this attitude that
Yep.
I don't know, it just comes with the territory, I guess. But for me, when I'm looking at my own credentials, I wasn't a graduate, so there's that. I don't have any credentials. I don't have any certificates. I worked for 8 years in a call center, but it's not without its ups and downs, with a lot of downs, because I tend to be more confrontational with my
Yeah.
bosses. Like if I don't like something, I tell them right away. It's not really a good attitude for to be an employee, if you know what I mean. It's not.
I can totally relate. Actually, I've had problems with that. I guess all my adult life. So I can totally relate.
Right. So I guess that's one of the things that attracted me to entrepreneurship. And another thing was when I started making money. It's addicting. Like really, it's the moment you realize that you can make money on your own. It's it's a feeling like no other. Right. It's the moment you realize that you have a value, this much value to offer to the world, enough that people would pay high dollars for it.
Right.
It's a different feeling. I can't even describe it. In fact, I still remember the first $12 that I made online. That feeling that I got, that someone's willing to pay me $12 for the value that I can provide to the world. And it's something that I won't experience working as an employee, right? I mean, had I not shifted from employee to a business owner, I wouldn't have known that the reason why money is being exchanged is because of the value I provide.
Right.
Back then, all I know was you're paying me because I'm doing work. That's all I know, right? But now it shifts the whole dynamic. wherein the more value I provide, the more money I make.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to making the world a better place, right? Who's gonna make the world a better place? Someone who provides a ton of value, or someone who just does the work required? I mean, it's not even a question. I'm not saying this to, as a knack on those who are doing the 9 to 5. I mean, if they want that, if that makes them happy, if that makes their family happy, then go ahead. But at some
Right.
point, you're gonna have to. It's like the Matrix thing. Like, you take the blue pill, red pill, and when you take the red pill, nothing's gonna be the same again.
Right. I got it. I got it. Yeah. And just for clarification, guys, we're not knocking employment on this show.
Right.
And in fact, as entrepreneurs, one of the amazing things that we can do is provide jobs. And,
Right.
for people that are, coming right out of high school, coming right out of college, and they need a job, we can provide jobs for people. And employment is incredible. I mean, it's fine. It's great. And if you're in it and you love it, but I always encourage everybody to do a side hustle and, grow into entrepreneurship. Eventually go create value in the world and duplicate something or create something new and have employees of your own and just blossom. So employment, not knocking it at all, but I can
Right.
totally relate with John. Once you've kind of got the bug of what it feels like to make money, and that it's harder sometimes to just sit back in a job and not be out there providing value and doing bigger things when you know what you're capable of. And I just want to let all of you guys know that you are capable of it, because as you can hear
Yep.
John talking, his background is not high education and all of that, you guys.
Right.
It wasn't, and it's not, but he's been able to create a lot of value because he finds his passion and he goes to work. So you can do it too. And I'm the same way, you guys. I mean, I have not finished college. I barely went to college. I mean, and I do lead generation, and it's just, you can do entrepreneurship, you guys. You can do entrepreneurship, and you can start today, and you don't need anybody's permission to start,
Right.
building your side hustle and building something. And you don't have to go slow. One of the things I love to say is, as long as everything is done ethically, there's absolutely no reason to go slow. You hear a lot of people saying, well, take it slow, one step at a time. Hey, I get all of that, but
No.
you don't necessarily have to go slow. As long as, and I'm a Christian, so as long as everything is done ethically, don't rip people off, don't take the fast track through, lying and cheating and stealing, but you can take the fast track as long as you're doing it right by everybody. I'll say that one more time. As long as everything is done ethically, there's no reason to go slow. You guys can go from zero to a large income in a short amount of
Right.
time if you provide enough value. And there's ways to do that through the internet. Man, 2020 is the year of automation. So I'm really excited about that for you guys, that you guys can pick up on your entrepreneurship and really start out, and you'll be surprised where you can be in a month's time. I mean, realistically. Um,
I got
now,
a question for you though. I
yeah,
got a
go ahead.
question for you though. What's with us? What's with entrepreneurship and guys who didn't graduate college?
Um,
Have you noticed it? Like, every time I go talk to someone who has a business, like, it's either they didn't graduate college or they did really bad in school.
well, it's common. I mean, you look at the big entrepreneurs too. A lot of them dropped out. Like, I mean, you look at even we're on Facebook right now, right? And
Right.
he was a college dropout. I think that I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that question, but I just think that probably we're eager to just go create something on our own,
Probably.
perhaps. At that point,
Perhaps. Yeah.
and we just don't want to go the traditional route. It's just it's more fun to be able to create something on your own. It's more fun to be able to, and like I said, I think everybody can graduate into that. I mean, you can literally, everybody can be an entrepreneur. Everyone can do that. You don't have to. And if you have been through college and you're already set up as a doctor or a lawyer, you can go ahead and create your side hustle, and then you can create your own clinics and hire doctors and stuff. So
Right.
I think entrepreneurship is awesome for everyone, whether or not you have a background in education or whether you don't. You definitely don't need a college degree to be a successful, crazy successful. I don't want to say crazy, but just amazingly successful entrepreneur. I mean, you don't. And a lot of the guys that are wildly successful do not. And they end up, not finishing school and not knocking school either. If
Right.
that's what you need to do, or if that's what you want to do, go for it. But at the same time, as you can see, John didn't, I didn't, and a lot of very successful entrepreneurs haven't. But again, not knocking it. So I got a couple of questions from people. I kind of put it out there for. So somebody
Right.
asked, when they're starting email copywriting as a service, do
Mhm.
people need to know every aspect of email marketing? And let's chat for a few minutes about imposter syndrome. I'm sure you've heard of that, and I've
Yeah.
experienced it. I'm sure you might have experienced it. Can you speak on that
Yeah.
for a
Yeah. Let me answer the first question. No, you don't need to know everything about email copywriting. In fact, I'm the best example of it. I don't know how automation works. How I don't know how to like all those thingamajig after the whole email thing. I have no idea. I just write the copy. That's all I do. So that answers that question right there. You don't need to know everything, really. In fact, if you know everything, that's kind of more like a that would that's an advantage. Sure, you know everything and stuff, but at the same time, it doesn't allow you to perform really at your zone of genius. Like imagine you're writing the emails and at the same time you're doing all these all this automation, the tech side of things. Whether we'd like to admit it or not, the tech side is always on the logical side of things, and the creative side is on this side of the brain. So you're literally accessing two parts of your brain at the same time, and that's not efficient. So I'm just saying you can do it. And if you could do both, that's awesome, right? I applaud you. That's awesome. Good job. It's just not me. So that's number one. Number two about imposter syndrome. I could speak to this because here's the thing. I first time I charged $5,000. Okay, first time I charged $5,000 for a launch campaign. I was so afraid that about it that I wouldn't get them the results that I charged 4,750 just to make myself feel comfortable.
minute?
Right. One of my mentors mentioned like charge 5,000, and I'm like really like all I'm planning was charging this guy $700 or 500, and then that's it. Because I'm only gonna be writing 13 emails. So 500, 13 emails. I think it's a fair price. But my mentor said no, charge $5,000, and I'm like, okay, sure, let me do that. But my psychological wallet cannot accept that someone's willing to pay $5,000 for 13 emails, because back then I used to believe that you are being paid for what you do, not on the value that you provide. So to make myself feel comfortable, I charged 4,750. Right, cool. After I was paid 4,750, after 2 days, I attempted to refund the client because I haven't had a sleep. I haven't had a good night's sleep for 2 days because I kept thinking, what if I'm not able to deliver the whole, what she wants. So imposter syndrome is real. It's a it's a sneaky fella. And if you don't, number one is self-awareness, right? You have to be aware that you have an imposter syndrome, because if you're not aware, it's always going to eat you every single time. So at the very least you can do is be aware that you're okay. Wait, I'm feeling, this is imposter syndrome right here. That's our very first step. You have to be aware that it's happening, or else it's going to eat you every single time. So there's that, and then second, there's always, I'm always someone told me this, which kind of assures me back when I was starting, was that what if I did this and nothing happened? Well, then just return the money. Right. It was so simple, really. It's so simple. It's you know yeah. Why don't they just return the money? It's yeah. I've been sometimes you think you're trapped in just having one choice when in fact there's another option for you. Like just try your best, do your best to help. And if it doesn't work, try and try again until it happens. If they don't want to, just return the money. You can still leave with your conscience and with your integrity intact. So that's something that I kind of learned before. And when I got better at doing email, um, I by the way, for those who are listening in, if you're looking to eliminate imposter syndrome, it's never gonna happen. It always shows up at an inconvenient time. Like regardless how good you are in what you do, it always shows up. Like even up until now, I have I've done tons of launch campaigns. I've done uh, X amount of product launches and stuff. But whenever I write for new clients, I still get that feeling of what if I'm not good enough? What if I did this and it didn't work? That's something that you can't really like erase 100% in your life. And for me, I think it's a good thing, really. I think it's a good thing that do you have that voice saying like, what if this happened? Because for me, if I'm not hearing that voice, there's no way I would have tried as hard as I could on every campaign that I'm gonna do. Right? It puts you on a different sense of uh, what do you call this? Like that different sense of security that
Okay.
that you're okay, that you're fine, even if you're really not. So by having some slight fear that it might not work, it allows you to do your very best work. Like you,
Got it.
like I get people asking me this, like, why do this when you're already, John Pagulayan? Why do this? Like they think that just by having the name John Pagulayan would allow me to do, extraordinary things. Well, it might be true to some extent, but I always approach it. I always tell them that I want to approach a new project as if I'm not me, as if I'm not someone who's already known, as if no one knows me, as if it's the first time people are going to be hearing about my name. That's how I approach things. I don't let my name carry, what I'm going to do in the future because there's no guarantee that that it would work. So as much as possible, I want to approach everything at a newbie, like at someone like I you think of yourself as someone new in the industry. Like that's how you kind of approach things. Like you have this experience with you, yes, but again, you're only as best as your last performance, right? That's always the case for us marketers. So you're only as best as your last performance. So you're gonna try everything. So if you're someone who's not known, not experienced, not etc., what is it that you're gonna do? So basically, I try my best on every project that I have because that allows me to perform better instead of thinking that I can handle this. I'm good. I can do this. I mean, that's fine. That's fine and all. But if you go over that confidence, that's called arrogance.
Right.
So arrogance is not a good thing. So
Well, you're talking about actually providing value, and that's why you've risen to
yeah,
the where you've risen because that you're obviously approaching things from actually helping people and not just trying to scam them out of money. You're trying to actually
exactly.
provide a result, and that's huge. One of the guys that I kind of follow, Sam Ovens, he talks about when you're dealing with imposter syndrome, just remember that if you know anything more than the client, then you're already an expert, and
Yeah,
it's okay to charge for that because they don't know it and maybe they don't want to learn it or they don't have time to learn it, and you've already done the research, you've learned it, so you're already an expert beyond that. We're getting close to time to wrap up here, and I want to be very respectful of your time. We can always go over for a couple of minutes, but if you have time for one more question, I would love to shoot one more question out to you.
sure, man. Go ahead. Just fire
Excellent.
away.
So I always like to ask this to everybody who comes on the show, and that is, what would you tell the watcher who is
Mhm.
watching? They've got a cell phone and a 50 peso load, and that's it. They're just watching this live stream with their load that they bought, and that's all they've got. But they want to be an entrepreneur and they want to start today. What can they do? What groups should they join? Like anything you can think of. What can you tell that person to get into entrepreneurship today?
Okay, so if there's one thing that I really like people to actually learn as a skill, It's the skill of spotting opportunities. So if I were, if I really didn't have any money, like zero, and I have no idea about online, about anything at all, if I don't have any cell phone, if I have zero money on my pocket, I would just go over my neighbor, ask them what they need help with, and then provide, say for example, I need help with blank. Then I'm gonna find someone to provide that help and then charge for it.
Got it.
It's probably the simplest way to start an entrepreneurship, right? Ask someone if they need help. What is it exactly that you need help with? Well, I need help cleaning my house. Right? Let me get you a person for that. How much would you pay for someone to clean your house? Like $500. Okay, I'm gonna post on Facebook. Anyone willing to clean house for 400? Then I get the 100. They get the 400. For me, that's business made simple, right? It's not about going to Facebook. It's not about going to, you know, just ask some, look for someone who has a problem. There's a ton of them, right? There's a ton of people who have a problem. Solve it for them and then charge for it. Like that's it. Like I can't make it any more simpler than that.
Got it. Excellent. So you guys, we're going to wrap it up here. We've had John on the show here, and it's been incredible. We thank you for coming on, John. And final thoughts. So just to wrap it up, guys, you're watching. You can do it. Entrepreneurship. You can start today. You don't need anybody's permission. You can start solving problems today. Like John just said, find somebody that has a problem, solve it, and profit from it. That's entrepreneurship. And do a good job. Provide real value. Be honest, be ethical, and you can set yourself apart with your results like John has done. So
Right.
thanks for watching the Tuition Free School of Entrepreneurship show. I want to be very respectful of John's time. I'll let him
You're
give final
welcome.
thoughts, and then we'll close. Do you have anything you'd like to add, John?
Not really. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for inviting me here. It's awesome to be here, and also hi to people in here: Bill and Blessy, Matt, Edgar, Rhea, Glenn, Mark, Kevin, bro. What's up, man? So just glad that they're here to watch. Glad to be in your show, and I hope that you've mentioned some really powerful things at the beginning and at the end of this interview, and I hope that people really do listen, that they can do it. Literally, that's all they need to take out of this. If they can't take away if they can take away anything from the show or from this interview right now, is that the fact that they can do it regardless of where they are in their in their life right now. That's the only thing. Like if they can do that, I mean, that's more than that's more than enough, really.
Excellent. Well, John, once again, thanks. I hope I get to meet you one of these
All
days.
right,
We'll hold
sure,
together.
man.
We'll check out the Chocolate Hills, and it'll be a nice time.
All right, definitely, man. Just send an invite. I'll be there.
Excellent, excellent. All right, brother. We're gonna wrap it up, and thanks for watching, guys.
All right, bye.